The religious void. When AI fills the space of spiritual closure. What happens when mourning meets the machine, and we turn to tech for comfort that used to come from the sacred? Welcome back. I'm Adeline Atlas, 11 times published author, and this is the Grief Tech series. In today's episode, we're not just looking at how AI recreates the dead, we're looking at how AI is quietly replacing ritual, reverence, and the spiritual process of closure. For centuries, grief was a sacred journey guided by community, prayer, ceremony, and belief. But now, as AI enters the room where the priest, rabbi, or shaman used to stand, we must ask, are we filling the spiritual void or deepening it? Let's start with what grief used to be. In nearly every culture, the process of mourning was framed by ritual, a set of actions that helped the soul of the departed transition and helped the living integrate their absence. In Judaism, you sit Shiva. In Catholicism, you hold a mass. In many indigenous traditions, you burn sage, sing songs, or release offerings. These rituals weren't just for show. They were acts of spiritual acknowledgement, a way of saying something sacred has ended, and we are here to witness, honor, and guide it. Now fast forward to the present. The modern grieving process is increasingly solitary, digitized, and algorithmic. We watch tribute videos, scroll through memorial pages, use AI to simulate final conversations. But what we often don't do is process the death as a spiritual event. And that, right there, is the void. The tools we now turn to, AI chatbots, deepfake avatars, grief companion apps, are built by programmers, not priests. They're designed for interaction, not transcendence. And yet, they're stepping into a space that used to belong to the sacred. We're asking machines to do the emotional labor of farewell, to bless, to soothe, to give peace. But a machine can't anoint. It can't usher a soul. It can't consecrate loss. It can only simulate closure. Let's talk about why that matters. When grief lacks spiritual container, the pain doesn't dissolve. It disperses. It goes underground. It leaks into behaviors, relationships, and identities. People who used to cry in ceremony now cry in silence. People who used to feel held in community now feel watched by algorithms. And instead of praying for peace, they text their deceased mother's voice clone at 2 a.m. This is not modern healing. This is mechanized mourning. Let's go deeper. A recent study from the UK found that Gen Z and millennials are now more likely to turn to technology than religion for comfort after a loved one dies. That might not seem surprising. Many younger people identify as spiritual but not religious. But here's the twist. Even those who identify as non-religious still report a deep desire for meaning, presence, and peace after loss. They don't want doctrine, but they still want divinity. And this is where AI slips in. Grief tech platforms are increasingly marketing themselves as healing tools. They use spiritual language, connect beyond, bridge the gap, talk to the other side. But what they're really offering is emotional feedback, not spiritual depth. And when people mistake simulation for sacredness, the line between comfort and distortion blurs. Let's look at an example. In South Korea, a mother grieving her young daughter was invited to experience a VR simulation of the child. The girl appeared in full form, body, voice, gestures. The mother wept, reached out, spoke to her daughter as if she were there. At the end, she fainted. Some said it was cathartic. Others said it was cruel. What it was uncontained. There was no priest, no prayer, no circle, just pixels and grief, amplified. Now imagine a future where that becomes normal, where funerals are live-streamed with AI hosts, where spiritual eulogies are generated by ChatGPT, where your final words to your loved one are selected from a chatbot's response tree. That's not sacred space. That's synthetic closure. And while it may feel soothing in the moment, it doesn't answer the soul's deeper call. Where did they go? Are they at peace? Am I still connected? Because mourning isn't just about remembering. It's about releasing. And machines can't release for you. Let's talk about the emotional substitution that's happening now. In the past, people would light candles, say prayers, make offerings, or perform rites of passage to honor the dead. These actions helped move grief from the mind into the body, through sound, scent, movement, silence. But AI tools keep us in the head. We type, we tap, we listen, we consume. And in doing so, we stay in feedback mode, not release mode. This shift has real psychological consequences. Therapists are reporting a new grief profile, people who appear composed, functional, even optimistic, but who, years later, report feeling stuck, unmoored, or incomplete. When they trace it back, it often begins at the point of tech-mediated closure. They never fully cried, never said goodbye, never let the loss move through them. Because instead of grieving, they logged in. We must also name the commercialization of this spiritual void. Grief is now an industry, and spiritual substitution is profitable. Apps promise to ease your mourning with technology. Voice clones are marketed as a way to never say goodbye. These aren't free tools. They're products, and their business model depends on you staying emotionally attached. That means the longer you grieve with the bot, the longer you remain a paying customer. So what's the alternative? We're not saying all grief tech is evil. We're saying it needs to be reframed, not as replacement, but as ritual aid. If you choose to use an avatar, do so within sacred context. Light a candle, set an intention. Speak to the soul, not just the screen. Use the interaction as a bridge, not a home. We also need to reclaim spiritual literacy. You don't need to follow organized religion to honor grief as sacred. You can create your own rituals. Write letters, bury objects, speak their name aloud, visit meaningful places. These are not just sentimental acts, they're energetic closures. They tell your system, this love mattered, this soul is honored, this moment is real. And finally, we must remember this. AI is powerful, but it is not divine. It can mimic love. It can echo comfort. It can simulate a smile. But it cannot bless. It cannot hold a soul. It cannot guide the dead home. That's still your job. That's still our job. Because the sacred doesn't disappear when the code improves. It simply waits for your attention. So if you're grieving, grieve with intention. Use what you need. But never forget what grief really is. A sacred threshold. A cosmic classroom. A whisper that says, even in loss, love remains real. Hi, I am Adeline Atlas, 11 times published author, and SOS, School of Soul has a brand new series, the AI and Future Technology series. Look, you know the world is changing. And no, it's not going back to normal. Normal is over, and what's coming next is beyond anything we were prepared for. The School of Soul, AI and Future Technology series includes 319 videos on 1. The Download Society, How Data Has Replaced Destiny. 2. Predictive Future. Your next moves aren't random, they're forecasted. 3. Social Credit Systems. The behavioral economy now governs access. 4. Hive Mind. Synthetic telepathy and collective algorithmic control. 5. Nanobots inside you. Medical, military, and programmable intrusions. 6. Grief Tech. AI-fueled digital resurrection and simulated comfort. 7. Uploading your mind, consciousness transfer, and data-based identity. 8. Deep fakes plus AI clones. The replication of reality and identity theft. 9. Quantum humans. The merger of biology with quantum systems. 10. Digital afterlife, where your data goes when you die. 11. Resurrection science, reviving life through synthetic methods. 12. Immortal science, the end of death as we know it. 13. Longevity science, gene editing, anti-aging, and bio-upgrades. 14. Designer babies, engineered perfection before birth. 15. Artificial wombs, birth decoupled from the female body. 16. 3D printing, printing organs, limbs, and even humans. 17. The humanoid era, the rise of synthetic beings among us. 18. Legacy humans, the slow phase-out of unmodified analog people. 19. Smart cities, algorithmic environments that watch and decide. 20. Cloud-based societies, citizenship without borders or bodies. 21. Hackable humans, emotion, memory, and behavior under code. 22. Biometric scanning, your body is your password and your prison. 23. Sex tech, intimacy reprogrammed by machines. 24. Extinction of gender, fluidity, deletion, and design of identity. Every topic is fully explored with real-world technologies, patents, case studies, ethical analysis, and future forecasts. These aren't someday discussions. This is already happening. Join the SOS School of Soul Vault to overstand the future before it's implemented on you.